Hey everybody, Black Ninja 797 here, and welcome back to another video. And today's video, I'm going to be ranking all the attachments in Back 4 Blood. This is a cool video because we don't have any attachments that we can rank in Left 4 Dead, so this is a specific thing to Back 4 Blood, one of the new layers of stuff that they decided to add to the gameplay. And attachments really do truly change the way that your guns work in this game. You can have a really good gun by default, but you can have a really good gun if you have the right attachments on it. And that's just completely down to not only your RNG of what you find on the map, but also even some of the select handful of ones that you can buy out of the vendor at random. So that's what we're going to be ranking here today. There's going to be in total 19 attachments in the game as of I'm making this video. So if attachments get added into the game later on throughout, the updates and stuff like that throughout the years. But yeah, we're going to be trying to rank the attachments from worst to best in my humble opinion. But I did decide to take the community's input and try to do the best that I could in terms of what I think you guys would also agree with as well. So please in the comments feel free to let me know if you guys agree or disagree with this list and why. But anyways guys, let's rank all the attachments in Back 4 Blood. Alrighty guys, so coming in at the very first spot, and I feel like a lot of you guys are agreeing with me on this one, because this is going to end up being the sniper scope, or the high zoom scope. Now, keep in mind, when I say that I don't like this attachment, I'm not saying that it's bad. No attachment really, honestly, in Back 4 Blood is bad. I really don't mind them. It's just that the problem is that I have two main pet peeves with this scope. Is that number one is that it's really frustrating to no end how that this attachment can sometimes obscure your view significantly unless you're aiming down sights with it. And the second thing that's also annoying is that you really can't do anything if you pick this up on accident, because you can put a sniper scope on anything, which makes the gameplay creative, and I like that. But I really don't like it how that you can't swap out an attachment unless you have another attachment. I just wish that in the menu I could go in and add an attachment or remove it by choice. Why is it that if I have, like, let's say a gun with an iron sight and I see a sight and then I don't realize it's a sniper scope and I pick it up, why can I not take it off and just, like, leave it off and go back to the iron sights? Why is it that I have to find some sort of other optical sight to be able to end up going to a better optic? I don't like the idea that if I pick up an attachment, it's essentially permanent unless I'm willing to switch it. So that's one of my main pet peeves, is the fact that I can't switch them out, and really this only fits for sniper rifles. Like, it blocks your view unless you're using it for the aim down sights purpose, so it really only applies to the sniper rifles. And I really don't think that this scope is really that good. It's only really good for, like, a select handful of guns out of the whole entire library. And I just don't really prefer to snipe. I mean, you can snipe in this game. The snipers are definitely useful. I like the Barrett. I like, the other sniper rifles like the Ranch rifle and stuff like that. But really, I much rather would prefer to have an assault rifle, an SMG, hell, even a shotgun. And a sniper rifle scope does not go well on these guns. Can you imagine going around with a sniper rifle scope on, like, let's say a revolver or a shotgun? How silly that would look. It's just unpractical. It never was meant to be like that in the first place, but you can do it. So the idea is that it basically forces you to mix up the gameplay, but because of the fact that the way the attachment system is flawed right now, you can't just take something off, and just is really inconvenient, I really just have to say that this scope has got to be at the bottom of the list, because really, it's only circumstantial, and other than that, it really doesn't serve you as an attachment. Alrighty guys, now coming in at our next spot, this is going to be one of these stock attachments, and this is going to end up being the competition stock. Now the competition stock, what it does is that ends up giving you plus 20% aim down sight speed, but that's really it. And that's the thing, is that it's such a simple attachment. The attachments are really unique because they're not only done by rarity, but they're also done by their functions, because there's really only 4 attachments essentially in this game. They're all kind of like subcategories or variants of each other's. There's magazines, there's barrels, there's going to end up being optical sights, and then there's going to be stocks. And that's why you have those, according silhouettes underneath of your guns. Now, there is subcategories such as extended mags and fast mags, or a red dot sight versus an ACOG sight, or a suppressor versus a long barrel, and, like, let's say a laser sight versus a compensator, Now, all of these are good in their own ways, and some are, decent in some other ones. But now you also have an issue where some of them are green level attachments, which basically means that they're the weakest versions of themselves, And then there's some that are gold, the huge jump, where they're basically the legendary god tier version of set attachments. So honestly, what's going to happen is that a lot of these initial attachments in the beginning, guys, are mostly going to end up being greens if they have a better version of it later on down the line. If the attachment is just by itself and there's nothing else like it, then it will end up being higher up on the list. But if there's like a green mag versus a gold mag, the gold mag will inevitably be higher, and that's kind of the same thing with these stocks. The competition stock is just 20% increase in aim down sights, so just in comparison to everything else, it really is just not that good. However, though, it at least does serve you and is at least worth picking up. Alrighty guys, so now we are on to the lightweight stock. Now for the lightweight stock, what this ends up giving you is it gives you a 5% increase to your move speed. Now, when it comes to a stock, you really want it to benefit you in terms of your speed. You want it to make it so that way you can aim down sights quicker, strafe quicker, overall just be quicker. Because when you have an attachment that basically gives you nothing but penalties, you don't want that. And I feel like that movement speed is critical to something that would give you something such as kind of like a slowdown effect, like an LMG or an assault rifle where it's heavy and makes you slow, and the attachment kind of like reverses that effect. So not only do you get the initial damage of the gun, because that's probably what you get these high-powered guns for, you know, it's heavy versus strong. Basically the attachment is meant to negate the one penalty, so now it's strong and fast, and that's kind of what the lightweight stock does. And that's just why it goes up higher on the list, in my opinion, is because it makes it that way LMGs and assault rifles function much better. Alright, now we're on to another stock again. This is the tactical stock. So this gives you 10% increase to your overall handling. And in my opinion, handling for a gun is one of the more critical, I guess you could say, attachment bonuses that you get. Because when it comes to something, what I would normally use, this is kind of where I'm getting more into like my bias like type of beliefs. I'm not necessarily thinking of the community part of the list, but I use a lot of the assault rifles in this game. I love the AK-47, I love the M4, stuff like that. If I end up picking up this stock, I feel reassured knowing that I can end up basically moving this thing quicker. I treat it a lot like an SMG this way when I end up getting this bonus. And I would say that if this is something that you're going to put on, like, let's say, an SMG or a shotgun that doesn't exactly need it, you might not notice the benefit, but eventually, what's going to happen is when we're going to be ranking all the guns in Back 4 Blood, you're going to notice how that a lot of the guns really need this attachment, or just some form of this attachment to really fundamentally be at its best. And probably what's going to end up happening is I'm probably going to be ranking the guns next, just to prove this point. But I would say overall, if you can end up making so that way your gun, you know, and makes it where you can basically handle it better, it doesn't end up jolting around and like you have to worry about being slow and obnoxious. If you can feel like the gun's a part of you, that's really when you're winning at the end of the day. Alrighty guys, so now we're finally off the stocks here for a second. We are now on to another optical sight. This is the Holo sight. So the Holo sight is going to end up being kind of like a more chunkier, thicker ACOG sight. And the reason why I don't exactly care for it in comparison to the red dot or the ACOG is because it zooms in too much. It's not like the sniper scope where it's obnoxious, but it still zooms in an uncomfortable amount, and I would much rather pick up the red dot or the ACOG. And debatably, depending on the gun, I'd rather just not have an attachment at all for the optic. And you once again run into the problem where if you have an iron sight gun and you pick this up on accident, until you find another sight, you can't turn this off. You can't remove it in the attachments menu. It's stuck there. Turtle Rock, I beg of you, please end up making it where we can take the attachments on our guns on and off at command. Not where we have to swap them out. If I want to be able to have an iron sight AK again because I picked up a sniper rifle scope and I didn't want to, please let me do so. Please and thank you. Alright, now we've got the long barrel. Now for the long barrel, it's interesting. This is a attachment that can be extremely good or kind of fundamentally useless. Not bad, but just not practical and therefore kind of useless to you. If you were to use this on, like, let's say something like an SMG or especially a shotgun, this attachment is wonderful. It makes it so that way, basically, you're using your gun as if it's like a miniature sniper rifle, it feels sometimes. Because you're increasing your effective range by 25%. A quarter of the way there as an increase. It's ridiculous. You're basically making a shotgun have the range of a slug, even though it's like a buckshot, for example. Just as an example, just hypothetically. Now, the thing is that if you don't use a shotgun, or if you don't use an SMG, this really doesn't serve you. Because, like, let's say you use the assault rifles, or the sniper rifles, or the LMGs. You don't need to have a problem fixed with, like, you know, this attachment. You don't need to necessarily be like, hey, I'm not getting a lot of, you know, damage down range. I need to put on a long barrel. Really, that's only useful if you're having, like, something that has bad range. So, when you're using an LMG or a sniper rifle or an assault rifle, you want to use things like the suppressor and the compensator because they're more fitting, even though the long barrel still can't help you. It is better than nothing, but you're not going to keep it, unless you're using a certain build. So that's kind of the issue you're running into. That's kind of like the trade-off with this attachment. All the other attachments we covered prior, even up to now, they're all still useful, but they all have their caveats where there's definitely just attachments that are overall just better because they're either gold versions or they just serve a better purpose overall. Alrighty guys, so now we're back to the stocks again. We're at the light tactical stock. This is the first golden stock attachment that we got here. And the main reason why that's so high up on the list is because it literally is deserving of it just because of the fact that it's gold. When it ends up being a gold attachment, it usually ends up having more abilities, and that is very prominent with this one because you get 10 plus mobility, but you also get 16 plus on handling. And so therefore, this automatically beats the other prior stocks just because it's basically a combo. You get a buy one, get one free in terms of power-ups with this attachment, and it's really cool because you can either buy this or you can find it by chance. But the thing is that it's always available to you. It's not like it's something pre-attached to a gun. It's not like it's something that's just completely impossible to find. A gold attachment is very easy to get as long as you know how to play the game properly. And everything stacks. If you play the game in a row, you'll eventually find this. I doubt, with checking the vendor and having enough copper and checking everywhere, even with your teammates being able to hook you up with a gun that might have this attachment already, there is zero possibility you'll go through the whole campaign and not find this. You will essentially turn anything into an SMG. You'll turn an LMG into an SMG with this stock. Well, not completely, but it will feel like it for a brief moment in time. I'll just say that. Alrighty guys, so coming in at our next spot, this is the Extended Plus P Mag. This gives you plus 50 magazine size and also plus 10 bullet damage. Now basically what this does, that essentially gives you stopping power rounds and 50% more of them. And it's just ridiculous, man. So if you want to end up having a gun be stronger and buff it some way, pick up this attachment. You basically are making any gun 10% stronger. So if you have a really weak build and you're trying to like do some sort of challenge, or if you generally are just being unlucky with attachments, if you find this attachment, that should fix all of your worries. Alrighty guys, so I have all the attachments in the game. The plus P mags are basically identical to each other. They once again both have 10 plus bullet damage, but however though, the fast mag version only gives you a 30+% increase to your reload speed, rather than basically giving you the 50+% in terms of your ammo. Now, yes, the percentage is lower, being only at 30 versus 50, but in my opinion, I think that that's fine, just solely because of the fact that you're reloading quicker, and in my opinion, that's more important than having more ammo in a given clip. Because once you run out, you still have to reload the exact same speed, and there's no way around that, but if you can end up reloading that gun quicker, it's definitely a lot more better. In my opinion, if I'm in a situation, I'd rather would reload quicker than just try to end up hitting a couple shots and then be stuck doing a longer reload, in my opinion. Alrighty guys, so next on the list is the Extended AP Magazine. Now for the Extended AP Magazine, this is going to end up be a increase to your firepower. First of all, it's going to end up giving you plus 10 to your firepower. Overall, your gun's just stronger now. And in addition to that, since it's an extended mag, you get 50 plus magazine size, which is really helpful in the higher difficulties when your ammo is very critical to your survival. You need to be able to spray zombies sometimes till no holds bar, and if you got interrupted because of a reload, man, that tall boy might close the gap and then you are donezo. So having an extended mag, it might just save your life. Alright, now we're starting to get to the really good attachments. So now coming in at our next spot, this is the Fast Mag AP Mag. Now with the Fast AP Mag is that this ends up giving you 30 plus reload speed just by default being a fast mag. But in addition to that, it gives you 100% bullet penetration. This means that any gun, basically, can go through any wall. And you literally don't have to worry about the walls interfering with your kills ever again. If you need to kill something, like let's say that behind one of the doors is going to end up being an ogre, oh, you just shoot through it. Oh, if you also have got like a car that's, you know, got a tall boy on the other side or a hawker dancing around, you can also do that too. No zombie is safe with this mag on. The mag basically makes your gun have built-in FMJ to the fullest degree. And that's in addition to the fact that it's a fast mag. It's basically 2 attachments in one. And now you're starting to understand why attachments are super critical to this game. Alrighty guys, now we have an attachment that's literally a combo of these last two. This is the Extended Fast Mag. The Extended Fast Mag gives you 50 plus magazine size and 31% to your reload speed. So it is a little bit more of an extended mag than it is a fast mag, which personally I would prefer to have it be the other way around. I'd much rather, like, I'm a big fan of fast mags over extended mags in my opinion. And I personally really think this attachment is good, although it could be a little bit better if the fast part of the mag was also at 50, but then again though, if it was 50-50, it might be a weird thing with the balance. But overall, having a fast extended mag is extremely beneficial, and it's really only just nothing but good. Now, keep in mind is that this isn't the best magazine because it's still yet to come, but I definitely think this is worth picking up if you find it in your inventory. Alrighty guys, so for our next magazine, or our next attachment here, this is going to end up being another extended mag, and this is going to be the Extended HP Mag. This gives you 10 plus firepower and 50% magazine size, and overall this is probably basically the best version of the magazine is the HP Mags. Which is why the direct follow-up is going to end up being the Fast Mag version of this, although for different reasons because the Fast Mag version of the HP Mag has different, like, little bonuses that it gives you. The reason why, in my opinion, I think that the Fast HP Mag is the best magazine in the entire game is because of one reason and one reason only. Bullet Stumble. You get 30 plus reload speed, but you get 50% bullet stumble. What do I mean by this? Bullet stumble basically means that the enemies essentially flinch on you. They freak out. When you shoot them, there's brief periods of time where they can't fight back, and you're basically concussing them. And this is extremely beneficial to you in the higher difficulties. If you're playing on Veteran or especially Nightmare, and you got a tall boy charging you, sometimes hordes of tall boys charging you, you need to be able to end up closing the gap, man, and you got to keep them as far away from you as possible, and you got to make sure that they die by the time they get to you. So if you want to end up doing that, you want to be able to stun them, and one of the ways you can do that is with this fast HP mag, because just naturally shooting them can possibly give you a window where they flinch and get them to back off, rather than just them end like just chasing you to the ends of the earth, because that's sometimes what it feels like with the tall boys. Sometimes you feels like you cannot get away from them, and this mag helps a lot. Alrighty guys, we are down to the final stock attachment. This is the Light Competition stock. This gives you 10 plus mobility and 16 plus in handling. Basically the main two things that you want in a stock. It is at gold level for a reason. You're going to be able to move quicker, you're going to be able to handle your gun much smoother, and basically any single gun that you're basically forced to aim down sights with, you know, because you can't remove the attachments in this game. Basically, you're going to make it so that way you're maximizing your situation here. So in my opinion, this is the best stock in the game, and basically it allows you to excel in many ways. Alright guys, now we are on to an attachment that is going to benefit any of my console viewers, because this is the Compensator. The Compensator gives you not only a 15 plus move speed while firing, but also 20% plus recoil control. This is really big if you have a gun that has basically a stock that gets in front of your face all the time because of its gun kick, or basically just decides to have a seizure and kick like a mule, because many guns in this game all have their different traits, and some, because they're powerful in one area, they suck at recoil. This is going to minimize your amount of recoil by a lot. And when it comes to aim down sights in this game, if you're on a mouse and keyboard, you're more likely to be able to control your aim better, but if you're on console where you're stuck with the controller and you're having to rely on aim assist, Aim assist sometimes might be screwy with you and actually mess up your recoil because it's locking onto the wrong things. So if you play with a controller, I've heard this from my buddy Jake and pretty much all my friends because they all play the Game Pass for Xbox's version of this game. If you are playing and you have the choice of a barrel, if you can't pick something else that's coming up later on the list, you want to end up picking the compensator. It will always benefit you, make it so that way you can end up having pretty much no recoil, and if you stack this with cards, if you stack this with good teamwork, you are set, my friend. Alright guys, we're super close to the very end. We actually only have a select handful of attachments left. And by the way, just for something fun, I thought I would end up bringing this back. There was one time in a random Left 4 Dead ranking episode where I was ranking the maps. I said something along the lines of being like, if you watch this far into the video, comment 47 minutes, which was just a random part in the commentary, just to let me know how far in the video you guys watched. So I wanted to do something similar. So in the comment section down below, please comment 21 minutes if you guys have watched this far into the video and you guys have ended up enjoying. I really love to see who's watched all the way up until this point, and shout out to you if you have. Alrighty guys, coming in for our next spot, this is the laser sight. The laser sight is really good, and not only is it really good, it's one of my personal favorites. Because the laser sight is not necessarily something that is needed, but it definitely makes you stronger, significantly so. So when Back 4 Blood introduced the idea of aiming down sights, I was worried that as a Left 4 Dead fan, because we were always used to hipfire back in the day, that because you're able to aim down sights, that basically hipfire would be essentially rendered useless. However, though, it's not really the case. You can hipfire pretty damn well in this game, just like any normal game. You can actually aim down sights and hipfire, and you'll still get by pretty well. You can actually compete with a guy that's aiming down sights if you hipfire, especially if you got the laser sight, because if you crouch and have a laser sight, oh boy, are you really accurate. Your hipfire spread becomes basically like as if you have a laser sight literally in real life. It actually functions like a legitimate laser. Your accuracy hip firing with a fictional laser is pinpoint accurate. It's like, I can't even make this up. I love this attachment. It always has benefited me. And if you have to pick something to shove on your gun, pick the laser sight and never take it off. And if any of that didn't seal the deal, just know that you get 10 plus accuracy. That'll be a little cherry on top. Alrighty guys, now we've got the ACOG sight. The ACOG sight, in my opinion, is one of the best sights in all of Back 4 Blood, because it's the one sight that I first of all want to say is that it doesn't obscure your vision, not nearly as badly as the other two. Plus also as well is that a optic of some kind is definitely useful in this game. You can get by without one, but you most certainly are going to want one. Because, obviously, you want to end up having at least one of everything. You want to end up having a barrel attachment, you want to have a mag attachment, you want to have a scope of some kind, and you want to have a stock. And out of all of these, in my opinion, I feel like the most critical one is probably going to end up being, honestly, the optic sight. You need to be pinpoint accurate in this game, and you can get by with just the default gun damage. You don't need to have a fancy mag that gives you stumble. You don't need to have a suppressor to be off the radar. You don't need to have a stock that makes it that way you can strafe easier, but you really need to make sure that your just raw accuracy is on point. And what better way to do that than to have an aim down sights that isn't obscured by some crappy random iron sight, and instead just have an optic such as the ACOG. Speaking of aim down sights and also fellow optical attachments, let's move on to the one right after the ACOG, and this is going to end up being the red dot sight. The red dot sight is literally just the exact same thing that I just mentioned, is that it's a optical sight that barely obscures your vision, makes you much more accurate, and overall it's just a classic red dot sight. It's just very simple and straightforward. I really don't feel like there's not much to be said, other than the fact that it's just one of the best attachments in all of the game. But guys, coming in at the #1 spot for the best attachment in all of Back 4 Blood, this is going to end up being the silencer. Now, it's funny. I thought that out of every single attachment in this game, I would put the silencer at, like, dead last. I'm just being honest. When I initially have, like looked at the attachments of this game, I was thinking to myself being like, what honest good use could a suppressor be in this game? You know, coming from Left 4 Dead, like, where basically zombies attack you 24/7, and they basically know where you are all the time, how is the suppressor going to benefit me? Does it keep me off the radar? Do the zombies just genuinely not hear me coming? To answer that question, yeah. That's literally all this does. It's funny. You think that that would be kind of like, you know, what it would be obviously meant for, but coming from, like, a whole bunch of different FPS games, normally whenever you're playing against zombies and you have a suppressor of some kind, at least the games I play, the suppressor doesn't mean jack crap. The suppressor is just normally just something there to look cool, make it look fancy, and it never would actually serve its purpose. In Back 4 Blood, if you run the suppressor, it actually works. If you end up using it, the zombies don't hear you unless you deliberately shoot them, or you can, like, basically have, like, the bullets in their line of sight. Like, if they see, like, a bullet, like, zip by them, or you barely brush them, of course, then they're gonna notice. But if you end up having, like, a set of zombies, like, in ones, and then you just take them out one at a time, especially if you're quick about it, the suppressor makes it so that way you're off the radar. The zombies will never know you're there. And if you can be quick about it, if you can be snappy, if you can be mobile, and you can be lethal, you are extremely going to be better off. Like, out of all these attachments, this is, in my opinion, one of the crutch ones, especially in the higher difficulties. If you're playing something like Nightmare, you cannot afford to get swarmed. You cannot afford to have the zombies gangbang you. You need to be quiet. You need to be stealthy. And you most certainly need the suppressor. But yeah, guys, that is going to be it here for today's video, and I do truly hope you guys ended up enjoying. If you did, please consider dropping a like, comment, and subscribe. And this is going to end up being the ranking of all the attachments in Back 4 Blood, and I hope you did enjoy. Let me know what your personal list is down below in the comments section. Is there a particular attachment that suits your fancy? Is there one that is your favorite? Is there one that's your least favorite? Please let me know why. If you guys would like to financially support the channel, I would definitely appreciate if you guys could go check out my Patreon. It is always linked down below in all my YouTube video descriptions. Or you guys could use supporter creator code BlackNinja797 in all caps in the Fortnite Epic Games item shops, because Epic is my very first sponsor, and they're sponsoring today's video, so shout out to Epic Games. If there's a particular ranking that you would like to see next, also just let me know what it is in the comment section down below. I read every single one of your guys' comments, I'd be more than happy to make it. But I hope you guys end up enjoying seeing another YouTube video from the most unique YouTuber you guys are ever going to see. Thank you for watching, guys. I love you, and peace out.
Hey, meme lords. Jesus here. And you better have enjoyed that video there by the eternal god Daddy Ninja. You should probably subscribe too, or the mighty Moab will come for your balls. If you enjoyed the video, you might like it too. And give me the memes. Flash, bang, boom!